Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone who's on the West Coast. I welcome you to our webinar, Swift Zero Footprint Strategy, Unlocking the Benefits of Alliance Cloud and Swift APIs. My name is Hanna Zubko. I'm co-founder and CEO at Intellect EU, and today I'm your host. I'm joined by esteemed panel, Kevin Wilson, Swift Solutions Architect, Tony Clark, Key Account Manager covering most strategic corporates and partners in North America. Sigrid Wiley, Head of Intellect EU's Standards Practice and a veteran of ISO 20022. And Grigory Vasilenko, our Swift Practice Lead and also the head of our Catalyst Integration Manager business line. Next. So we have a jam-packed agenda. For those who are not familiar, I walk you through some Intellect EU background. We'll hear about Swift Essentials and opportunities that it presents, as well as with Catalyst Integration Manager, we'll answer the question how you can utilize Swift Essentials. We'll cover today Swift Alliance Cloud and particularly also Swift Zero Footprint connectivity option, and walk you through Intellect EU's portfolio, including migration to the cloud, CSP, and other opportunities. And for dessert, a cherry on the cake is, of course, an update on ISO 20022 payments migration delivered by Sigrid. Next. Next. So as a company, we've been in business for over 17 years, and we've been proud to deliver services globally with our team of over 240 talented individuals, engineers. We're headquartered in Belgium, not far from Swift, with offices in New York and Miami, and delivery centers of excellence in Portugal, Poland, and Ukraine. As a company, we're a global technology provider utilizing our Catalyst Swift suite of products for payment modernization purposes, but also capital markets innovation. In capital markets innovation, we bring to life solutions with DLT, smart contracts, quantum computing, AI, and even confidential computing to tackle problems such as delivery versus payment modernization, or also corporate actions, workflows around repo, securities lending. But today, we're going to focus on payments modernization. And on our next slide, I'm going to walk you through our offering around the topic of payments modernization, and specifically Swift. Swiftwise, next. So Swiftwise, we've been working with Swift for as long as we are, previous please. So we've been working with Swift for as long as we've been in existence and in business, for 17 years. And currently we are Swift complementer and also accredited provider of solutions that are CBPR Plus certified. We are also enabler of Swift Essentials through our Catalyst Integration Manager, and provide a broad suite of services, including ISO 20022 advisory, and also implementation, more tactical implementation in case the back office is not yet ready to generate the messages in native ISO format by the deadline. Then we're able to work with our clients and support them in that effort as well. We provide CSP services, we provide cloud migration and management. And next, please. And now I'd like to zoom out and walk you through just a bigger picture of trends that we see. Of course, I did talk extensively about the end of coexistence between MT messages and MX, and full migration to ISO 20022 for a number of payments messages. by November next year. But we also see a lot of other elements that bring complexity to our customers, but also give opportunity to look and take a fresh look at the payments infrastructure and approach payment modernization. So among these trends, also the continued requirements to adhere to stringent AMLs and sanction screening. There is also quite a bit of effort to move the infrastructure to the cloud. And then we also see quite a lot of interest of moving towards API-based architecture. And with that, I'd like to highlight also the topic of Swift Essentials that originally came out from last year's Cybos in Toronto. And I'm inviting here my colleague from Swift, Tony Clark, to speak more on the presentation of Swift Essentials. Tony, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Hannah. So this year, Swift rolled out a new model for our value-added products and services. It consists of the leading capabilities that we've developed with the community in recent years, with the goal to create a new standard and elevate the end-to-end customer cross-border transaction experience. So if we go to the next slide, please. So in theme with Swift, we're looking to raise the bar again. So for those that have been with the Swift network for a few years now, back in 2016, we introduced the Customer Security Program, which aimed to raise the bar to reduce the cybersecurity threats and also achieve better compliance. This year, we're raising the bar again, and we're setting a new standard for transaction services, meanwhile uplifting the entire financial industry. One of the key benefits of Swift Essentials is its simplicity and predictability. So each customer that's entitled to Swift Essentials will receive one invoice at the start of each year, covering all the services included in that entitlement. Next slide, please. So a few years ago, the G20 made enhancing cross-border payments a priority. Swift Essentials aims to help achieve the goal of limiting cost, improving speed, boosting access, and increasing transparency of cross-border transactions by 2027. In line with Swift's own strategy of instant and frictionless, Swift Essentials will increase speed and security. The products included in Swift Essentials will help streamline the end-to-end payments process. And of course, customers are at the heart of what we do and what everyone on this webinar does. So we're looking to improve the end customer experience through seamless transaction and faster issue resolution. Through two of the Swift Security View and transaction screening, we're also looking to reduce cost with greater efficiency across payments and security lifecycles. Next slide, please. So here we have a view of the entire payments lifecycle. Also, we see the products and services that are included in Swift Essentials. So to begin with, we have payment initiation. And part of the Swift Essentials entitlement is SwiftRef. So SwiftRef provides the information required to correctly route your payments in a variety of formats. We also have payment pre-validation, which allows you to check and prevent for payment errors up front, increasing efficiency and cost savings. Includes country-specific content validation, account validations through our central beneficiary account validation solution. Underneath there, you see KYC Registry, which is our one-stop central repository hosted by us, removing the need for bilateral KYC document exchange. And then the Financial Crimes and Compliance section, we have payment controls, which helps mitigate risk within your payment process through anomaly detection, which will ultimately allowing you to detect fraudulent payments before they go out and in flight. What is not included in Swift Essentials, but you'll see here, is transaction screening. This allows you to screen against sanctions entities. Moving forward to processing, we see Swift GPI. This was introduced in 2017. This allows tracking and traceability of your payments over the Swift network. And through this, we see 89% of transactions processed reach recipient banks within 1 hour. Additionally, part of your Swift Essentials is Swift Go, which is our low-value payment solution. So McKinsey did a study that estimated the total market size of low-value payments is 10.6 trillion USD. So Swift Go really builds upon GPI with different service level agreements and also visibility into deducts. Case management will allow you to streamline the exceptions investigation process. And last year we rolled out Swift Securities View, which is really going to try to help the US market achieve T+1 and helps to reduce settlement fails through clear end-to-end tracking and post-trade processing. Next slide, please. So how does Essentials work? Well, I've just introduced it to you. I've discussed the entitlement, what you are entitled to, which also is included at the bottom of this slide. Once you decide on which solutions and products you'd like to implement, like anything within Swift, you place your e-order, and then you begin implementation. The majority of these products and services have a self-onboarding, as well as you're always welcome to engage with our professional services. There are a few that are mandatory onboardings. If you have any questions regarding the onboarding, feel free to reach out to me bilaterally. And then lastly, we have Go Live. That's when you start using your chosen service to achieve the goal of uplifting the financial community. And with that, I will hand over to Greg.
Thank you. So as was just explained, Swift Essentials improves the end-to-end transaction processing, giving you the products that could improve the quality of the delivered services. So having said that, we also need to understand, please, the next slide. We need to understand that onboarding of those products requires the understanding of the prerequisites, how the products work, how to connect to those products, and last but not least, how to integrate these products into existing business flows. So these challenges can be addressed using our product called Catalyst Integration Manager. So Catalyst Integration Manager is a flexible integration framework that leverages out-of-the-box connectors, utilizes the custom or predefined translators, as well as detailed login capabilities, enhancing overall operational resilience. Next slide, please. The core features of Catalyst Integration Manager are, of course, message transformation, which allows you to translate, enrich, validate the messages, out-of-the-box support of Swift APIs like Swift messaging, payment pre-validation, transaction screening, and more. Traffic orchestration, which is basically matching, reconciliation, and seamless integration with the external systems. High availability and resilience, intuitive user interface, which allows to manage the workflows, events, and the messages, and of course, enhanced monitoring and login capabilities. Next slide, please. So how does it work? So Catalyst Integration Manager utilizes the financial messaging libraries and connectors to import the data, leverages the existing or custom transformation data mappings that can handle any input format that can be translated to whichever output format required by your counterpart. And of course, to orchestrate the traffic, it uses the integration capabilities to basically reconcile, integrate with third-party systems before sending the output further to the network. Next slide, please. So what is our approach? Our approach on a high level consists of 5 items. So the requirements gathering phase, where we will prepare the functional requirements specification, then design phase to produce the overall design document, development phase, where our team of experts will develop the necessary message flows based on the ODD, and of course prepare the detailed installation and configuration guides. Verification and testing phase, where we will implement end-to-end automated integration tests, and of course will support a customer with their part of the testing. And of course the go live phase to provide the ongoing support and custom code maintenance. Also important to mention that Intellect, being as a referred provider for E+SIL phase out, is able to move the existing bespoke transformations and integrations into Catalyst Integration Manager, which gives an opportunity for customers to consider their journey towards zero footprint, right, and migrating to products like Alliance Cloud. And here I would like to pass the word to Kevin.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. And thanks everyone for joining today. Pleasure to be speaking with you all. So I'll speak a bit about Alliance Cloud and our zero footprint connectivity to Alliance Cloud. Next slide, please. So just to kind of clarify a couple things on what Alliance Cloud is and what it isn't, right? If you look on the left-hand side of the screen where it says on-premises infrastructure, right? Many institutions today do choose to connect to Swift, utilizing interfaces such as Alliance Access, interfaces that are hosted on-premise, right? That may require an Alliance Gateway, a SwiftNet link, hardware security modules. But additionally, some of these components can be hosted in the cloud, right? When we say cloud in this context, we mean public cloud providers such as GCP, AWS, Azure, and others, right? What we're talking about today with Alliance Cloud, because cloud can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. On the right-hand side in that green box, right? Alliance Cloud is Swift's software as a service solution for messaging connectivity to the network, to the Swift network. So meaning, if you want to use Alliance Cloud, you can connect without needing to host your own interface software on your premises or in the public cloud. Okay, so the big takeaway I like from this slide is really to kind of illustrate what Alliance Cloud is. That is a SaaS solution hosted at Swift data centers and operating centers that's accessible via web portal and API versus the public cloud where you can deploy your infrastructure as a service. Okay, and as we'll see in some following slides, the public cloud can also be used in combination with Alliance Cloud, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Next slide, please. And next slide again. We'll intro Alliance Cloud now, just beyond comparing it to what has existed already, like I just did before. On this slide, just some high-level numbers on Alliance Cloud. Really what this is meant to drive home is how there is a market shift towards software as a service solutions in the financial industry and really just generally across lots of verticals as a whole, right? We see the numbers at the bottom, 85% of firms adopting a cloud-first strategy by 2025 in a Gartner report. The other number that you see there relates more specifically to Swift connected institutions, right? Today, 3,000 plus institutions connecting to Swift use one of our cloud portfolio offerings. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean Alliance Cloud, but they are already using footprints that are a hybrid model or are working towards Alliance Cloud. So just some high-level numbers there. We can take a look at the next slide, please. So 10,000-foot view on what Alliance Cloud actually is, using some images here, right? On the left-hand side, this would represent your environment as a consumer of Swift, right? You may have your footprint deployed on your own premises in your own data center, or in the green lower left quadrant, you may be hosting and deploying to the public cloud, like I mentioned before. Then, via Alliance Cloud, which is hosted at Swift operating centers, you gain access to the right-hand side of the screen, which is the financial community, the 11,500 plus members, institutions and entities that are connected to the Swift network. So again, it's that unified channel through which you can do your messaging. Next slide, please. So some features and benefits. Next, please. So the 4 key pillars we like to look at here is Alliance Cloud we consider easy, right? This is because as a SaaS solution, it doesn't encompass the usual care and feeding with on-premises infrastructures such as AMH, Swift Alliance Access, or other third-party interfaces, right? With Alliance Cloud, you do have the benefit of a software as a service solution that is really one cohesive access point into the network. That also folds into TCO reduction. Total cost of ownership goes down when you don't have to do patch upgrades, standards message tables, imports to interfaces, security updates, things of that nature. Future-proof, we like to say, because Swift is making a significant investment in Alliance Cloud as a strategic connectivity method going forward. And reliability, because you get the reliability of the underpinning network of Swift with Alliance Cloud. Next slide, please. Just some high-level things in terms of benefits and value proposition around Alliance Cloud. A couple key ones I'll point out on this slide. Integration through messaging APIs. Alliance Cloud exposes a standard messaging API. Quick access to features. If there is critical mass on feature requests from our user community or whatever our product team is cooking up in the kitchen, that gets folded into the Alliance Cloud offering on a rolling basis since it is developed in an agile methodology. Okay, easily scalable with growing needs, we say, because Alliance Cloud currently can handle 100,000 messages in and out, so sent and received per day per BIC. Okay, that figure is slated to increase to 150,000 messages per day per BIC by the end of 2025. So Alliance Cloud is certainly coming to the table built for purpose. Additionally, the same footprint you use that we'll take a look at in just a slide or two will be able to be leveraged for accessing value-added services such as GPI, TSS, and the ones that my colleague Tony mentioned with regards to Swift Essentials. We can go to the next slide, please. Next slide again. Zooming in a little further, we see the 2 main methods of consuming or connecting to Alliance Cloud. In the top, we have a human user that can navigate to a web portal over the internet or through Swift VPN. And in the bottom, we have methods of integrating straight through processing or more automated integration, whereby this will facilitate higher throughput and more automated message transfer. And this is the piece we'll get into a little further with zero footprint. So to round out my topics of conversation, maybe we can go to the next slide and take a look at what Swift zero footprint is. So this here, again, Alliance Cloud exposes the Swift messaging API, which we can see in the center of the screen, right? This is a standard RESTful API specification that allows messages to be sent to Swift with a RESTful API call, and for messages to be queried and pulled down from Swift if your counterparties have sent them to you via a standard RESTful API. These specifications are exposed and publicly available on Swift's developer portal, developer.swift.com, and are able to be taken and generated for an API client in the language of your choice, right? So on the left-hand side where we see customer hosted, right, really what happens is that API client is going to be embedded somewhere, right, in some sort of application like a Catalyst integration manager, right, that can embed an API client to Alliance Cloud for sending and receiving messages. Additionally, I want to call attention to the bottom of the slide where it says Swift Multi-Cloud KMS, right, and it says consent on top. So the identity model with Alliance Cloud, like most of Swift, is utilizing a public key infrastructure certificate, or a PKI certificate. Rather than needing to store the certificate on a hardware security module, the certificate can be stored on disk, right? Some institutions may be fine with this responsibility, but other institutions may want to delegate that to a provider. For example, Microsoft Azure has Key Vault. Amazon AWS has AWS KMS, or Key Management Service. Okay, so Swift has allowed the delegation and storage of these certificates through Swift's multi-cloud key management service, okay, as you can see in here. And to underpin and round out my topics of discussion, the zero footprint really means that you do not need to download an SDK. You do not need to download a connector application, right? Really, this API specification can be embedded, right, and taken from our developer portal in order to consume those APIs and bringing your own application or middleware, right? And additionally, in terms of identity and security, you can leverage your public cloud tenant that you already use, such as AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud Platform. So hopefully this has given some good insight into some of the technical details. I'll pass the ball over to our next speaker then, Gregory.
Thank you, Kevin. So, next slide, please. As a Swift accredited value-added services enabler, we are proud to announce our new Catalyst Connect Plus offering, which provides a lightweight, future-proof, end-to-end connectivity solution to Alliance Cloud. Besides the connectivity to Alliance Cloud, of course, we also provide a number of value-added services, such as Swift APIs consumption, data transformation, workflow orchestration. It also gives you the benefits of rapid implementation and low maintenance footprint that allows you to reduce the total cost of ownership. And the offering also includes the customer care, managed services, and last but not least, it is CSP compliant. The next slide, please. For the customers who are still willing to own their connectivity to Swift, Intellect EU also offers the public cloud infrastructure management and the overall assistance with the migration to the public cloud. So utilizing the public cloud gives a number of benefits, right? Starting with security and compliance, right? Because the public cloud providers offer robust security features like encryption, access controls, and so on. But as well as availability and redundancy, because the data centers are spread across the multiple regions. Of course, scalability, technology stack complexity is managed by the cloud providers, expertise availability, which here, besides the cloud provider, here is where Intellect EU comes into play as well, and of course, cost efficiency. Next slide, please. So the journey to the public cloud consists from several, let's say, high-level steps, right? First of all, we will work closely with the customer to make the scoping and effort estimation for the future migration. Then we will perform the analysis of the current on-prem infrastructure and design how the target infrastructure will look like in the public cloud. So during the migration, we will build the test and production environments, make sure to migrate all the data from the existing on-prem applications, as well as to make sure that we build all the necessary workflows which were present as part of the on-prem infrastructure, and of course then the go-live support. As mentioned, our public cloud offering also includes the maintenance of the infrastructure, so customer doesn't need to worry about taking care of their infrastructure, like support, monitoring, troubleshooting. So this is all handled by Intellect EU. And of course, compliance, right? So we will help to perform the infrastructure review and to make sure that it will be compliant against all the latest CSP requirements from Swift. And of course, handhold customers to collect all the necessary evidence to provide for the attestation. Next slide, please. And of course, besides the migration to the public cloud, right, assistance and everything else, we are also an independent CSP assessor. So by having the services from Intellect EU, the customers don't really need to also search for the CSP assessor who will make sure that their infrastructure is compliant with the latest requirements from 2024 onwards. So at this stage, I would like to pass the word to my colleague Sigrid. Oh, sorry. Yes, one more slide, of
Skip
course.
one.
Sorry. Yeah. Of course, I would like to also mention the key differences of Intellect EU, right? Because we are using the future-proof solutions which allow to optimize the total cost of ownership, also ensure the smooth onboarding and reliable support, resilience of the infrastructure and security, and of course the compliance with the Swift customer security program. Thank you. And now I hand it over to Sigrid.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we know that this is not the topic of this webinar, but we felt that ISO 20022 migration is so important that we had to plug it in before, we lose you to your afternoon. So, as you know, ISO 20022 is not new, right? We've been already through several migrations, especially in the space of market infrastructures, whether securities and payments. And for the US people or the Canadian on this call, right, you just went through your own CHIPS migration, Payments Canada migration, FedNow is live on ISO, and next year FedWire is also moving to ISO. But part of this presentation focuses on Swift's community on migration, right? Swift has been so kind as letting me use their slides, and once a month, every month, they do publish the progress of their own migration. So just as a reminder, this is an interbank migration, CBPR+, so in the cross-border and reporting space, meaning that as of today, the corporates on the call, it's important to remind you, the corporates are not obligated yet to fully migrate to ISO 20022 in payments. So with the focus on instructions originating in ISO, we see that now the number of instructions is over 1 million a day, right? Which is a great achievement. And if we go to the end of that slide, you see an adoption rate of ISO 20022 native payments instruction of 25% of the traffic. I'll let you read the other numbers. If we move on to the next slide, it's always very interesting to remind you what's really in scope of this migration. Okay, for the interbank space, thank you. So as you know, Swift started with what is called coexistence between MT and MX in 2023, March 2023 to be precise, with an end date of November 2025. That end date has been confirmed. It's a firm date where, as you can tell on the left side of this slide, some payment instructions in MT will be removed from the network. So you're really going to have to start using its ISO 20022 equivalent. So for the messages that are not being removed yet, and I'm talking about the beloved MT103, 202, 202 COV, those messages will still be on the network, but Swift is warning, and I have Swift on the call, so they can confirm this, right? Swift is talking about a stricter validation as well as hefty penalties. We don't know the details yet, so everything is being done for you to migrate to native ISO 20022 messages, so the PAX messages, by November 2025. That's for instructions. Now, regarding the next column, you have exception and investigation messages. So for those of you familiar, these are the old MTN messages, the N92, N95, N96, request for cancellation, request for charges, advice of charges. They also have their ISO 20022 equivalent, and they will be supported until November 2026. But in November 2026, you will have to move to their ISO equivalent. So the CAMP messages, CAMP 59, CAMP 29, sorry, for request for cancellation, and its confirmation being the CAMP 56. Swift is also introducing the CAMP 110 and CAMP 111 for charges. They will be introduced on the network this November, so over Fin Plus, with a migration foreseen by November 2026. And now the other part of the slide where there's still a question mark. So we heard from Swift that the reporting messages, the empty messages, so the 940 and 950, which are the two most used messages in that category, were not retired yet, but they were deprecated. So again, you are fully kindly requested to use their ISO equivalent, the CAM 52, 53, 54. Deprecated really means that, you know, Swift and its community will keep working on improving the CAM 52, 53, 54, and those changes will not be reflected in the equivalent MT messages, right? So they will not touch anymore the MT 940 and 950. They will stay as is. The date for their full retirement has yet to be announced. These are the one I really wanted to focus on. And also there's an impact for those of you who use GPI. There's an impact on the tracker notification where, again, the empty messages will be deprecated and replaced as they are today already by the tracker messages. So that's for the state of the migration. If we move on to the next slide. You know, let's say I hope this slide is not relevant, by the way, but let's say that you haven't started anything yet. We can sure help you in your journey to ISO 20022, right? We still offer an impact analysis where we map your current payment landscape, help you assess, you know, the impact it will have on your different systems and application, and define a roadmap with you. Okay, maybe you have started, maybe you're stuck. Don't hesitate to reach out for help. Okay, and on the next slide, of course, I will have a nice plugin for Greg, because while doing that impact assessment, we may also decide that, you know, you're not ready for a full strategic solution, and you may want to go tactical first by still mapping MT to MX. We would do that with you in Catalyst IM, for instance, or if you're ready, as we said, for the full strategic approach, Catalyst IM can help you with that too.